Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. This is the Veto Ceremony Results Edition. We have that info for you. Not that it's going to make your eyes pop out of your eye sockets or anything.
No, there's no real surprises here.
But we'll still talk through that and some of the other odds and ends that are going on in the house. There's still, I think, some interesting discussions to be had about trust after everything we've gone through. Before we get into it, though, if you guys like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We have all sorts of updates every day. And, of course, you can support us further by checking the links in the description to the store. Get a shirt kind of like this one. And also our Patreon, where we're doing our first live chat over there at the end of this month.
So, here's the news.
Drum roll.
Memphis didn't do anything. He didn't use the veto. Nothing has changed. And this makes the most sense. He has no real reason to do any of this. His only real target, Ian, cannot be backdoored, so everything is staying the same. Nicole Anthony's on the block. David's on the block. Nicole Anthony probably going home. The thing that I am the most interested to see now for the rest of the time before the new HOH comes in is now that Memphis has made his decision and his power is over, there's nothing else he can really do. I'm curious to really see if people in his alliance are going to really start speaking up now, because now sort of the fear of the reign is over.
This is one of the more interesting parts of the HOH cycle, right? Where the veto ceremony's done. Now, Memphis can't be the next HOH. They don't have to worry a little bit about that. So, if you are particularly annoyed about Memphis, and I believe there are more than just a couple of people, more than just David and Nicole Anthony are worried or at least annoyed about Memphis, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? I think people within that Blob Alliance, they're probably not going to keep Memphis until the top 6, but when do you want to strike at him?
Yeah, and I mean, we've already seen a little bit of quiet fracturing going on where people are kind of like, I'm not so sure about him anymore. Even some stuff with Danny where people are like, we've caught her lying a little bit. Like, things are quietly fracturing behind the scenes, but now that everything is done with Memphis, because I was expecting a lot more people from his alliance to go to him to try to really push for backdoors, and that didn't really happen. And I think it's because he's played it with sort of this reign of power, you know, everybody must play in the safety suite or else you will be on the block, which is what he said in the nominations page to Nicole, that it's just kind of like, I can see his own alliance just not wanting to say anything.
It is interesting that there wasn't a lot of campaigning before this. The most we had was Janelle just sort of like subtly reminding him that, oh, if you look back at Nicole F's seasons, she was called a snake. Like, these things were said about her. It wasn't even a you should do this. It was just sort of like, just a reminder, have you heard this about Nicole F before? And I'm sure in Memphis's head, he's like, gee, I wonder why Janelle is saying this hours before the veto ceremony.
Yeah, and Memphis has been pretty honest with everyone where he's just kind of like, you know, I don't really care who goes because everybody's got to go. And he's not wrong about that. Everybody does have to go. He can't be the winner if everybody's still there. But, I mean, he has basically told Janelle that it's time for other people in the game to start fighting for themselves. And it's also true.
This is a rare edition of Real Talk featuring Memphis, where he actually speaks facts and his execution of speaking these facts isn't horrendous, because that's been the problem.
That's it. It's his execution. Some of the stuff that he had planned or that he was doing wasn't a bad plan, like trying to get people to play the safety suite. Great plan. Awful execution. It just made everybody really super on edge, which is not exactly what you want. Like, yeah, you want it so that people will play, but you don't want people to hate you afterwards or to be like, oh, you didn't do what I said, so now you're on the block. Because now everyone's just like, oh my goodness, okay, so we don't just do what Memphis says, then we're all in trouble, whether we're in his alliance or not, kind of thing. It's just execution not great.
And Memphis, I almost wish he had used the following metaphor to Janelle when he told Janelle that, she's tried so hard to save people these past couple weeks when they're not really wanting to be saved themselves. It would be sort of like somebody is out in a river and someone throws them a life preserver, and I feel like Keisha and Nicole A have almost just thrown the life preserver back at them and not really done anything to help themselves. It is frustrating in that way, especially this time around, because Nicole A has really not done anything to accept any help. It really feels like she's instead trying to pull Janelle into the river with her.
Yeah, and I mean, it was interesting because it seems like afterwards David has talked to Nicole Anthony to kind of be like, it's probably you going home and I'm probably staying, which I thought was kind of an interesting move, because obviously he has built a relationship with Nicole Anthony and he likes her quite a bit and she likes him and the relationship is good. So you want to be honest and you want to, talk to her about stuff, but that could also light a really big fire under her to kind of be like, oh, so you're feeling really good about staying, are you? Well, let's try to turn that around.
I honestly don't know why David did this. I think he was probably thinking, okay, I care about Nicole. We've got this Big Brother 21 connection. We were sort of on the outside of this big alliance that was mean and terrible to a lot of people. So I think he did it because I think he felt like he was looking after her to some degree. I don't think he was trying to be arrogant or anything else. But it is a situation where if you tell someone, oh, you're probably going, it is like you said, that may actually serve as additional ammo of, okay, I know I'm not in a good place right now. It is Monday. It's not happening until Thursday.
There's time. Lots of time.
That is a lot of time in Big Brother. And if I was Nicole Anthony at this point, one of the biggest things that she probably has to use is she still has to play in the safety suite. She hasn't used her ability, and I know that got her on the block this time around, but she could, and she's already done this a little bit, but she could go to a lot of people, and I guess she can't go to too many people because then she would end up telling the same story, but she could be like, I am willing to offer you my +1 in exchange for a vote. And she's done that a little bit, but she needs to do more things, I think, in that vein of making deals and making offers. Take a page from Cliff, and that's not something I say all that often.
For sure. She needs to first take stock in who she thinks she can probably get. And if she can get Janelle and KAYSAR and Kevin, at least she has those 4, because Devon, Bailey, and Nicole F are not going to be voting against David. So it's already kind of 3-3. Use that +1 to maybe get a vote that you might not be able to get. Then at least you can kind of secure a 4. And if that person's maybe connected to another person, then maybe they can pull them in too, to be like, hey, Nicole has promised me this. So if I'm safe, obviously I'll keep you safe, kind of thing, the best that I can. It could work if she offers it to the right person.
And this is where it's tricky, because I feel like Ian is the person who she wants to really kind of get, but then the problem is, of course, that Ian is kind of linked up with Nicole F, and they may not want to vote on different sides, and then it's like, okay, can she go to Christmas? But then Christmas is linked up with Tyler, and then it's like, can she go to Enzo? And then Enzo's got Cody. It's not going to be easy for her. But I think if she can try to find a way to maybe even throw out the fear of the bro alliance and be like, David, Cody, Tyler, Enzo, make some stuff up. Like, start saying they're going to have a Final Four deal. If you're going home, go big, go crazy, just do something.
It'd be awesome, but Nicole Anthony's not really in the business of lying here and dealing out lies.
I just think, where are the devil horns, Nicole Anthony? Go all out with this. I hope she does something more than she does. It's still weird that David said this, but speaking further about David, Janelle and KAYSAR, we know very well. We love sometimes watching some Janelle KAYSAR paranoia. they are really feeling at the moment that maybe everyone's keeping David because David is going to be like weaponized and going after them, which is, it's only funny to me because Nicole Anthony said that she wants to put them on the block anyway.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. The read on this season with a lot of people, everyone is so paranoid. And in a lot of ways, I get it. There's extra pressure being on an all-star season than there is just being a newbie on a new season where you're all kind of thrown into whatever. You're an all-star on an all-star season, so you're expected to like play this amazing game, but with that's going to come this kind of level of paranoia where you're unable to really read the room. Because if I watched what I watched with that nomination ceremony, I would think that David is over Memphis, and
yes.
the minute he can kick Memphis out, he will kick him out
Bye,
on
Memphis.
his you-know-what.
This is the thing. I'm actually very curious what David would do if he wins HOH, because, yeah, Memphis for sure is going to be the person that he goes after. But if he puts up Memphis and, say, Janelle, these people are going to vote out Janelle. And I'm sure he has to be kind of aware of this. So it's kind of a weird, ironic position where maybe David would get rid of Memphis, who they think is working with them, but we know Memphis really isn't working that much with them, so it's like David could indirectly do Janelle and KAYSAR a favor. It would at least be funny.
Oh, it would be hilarious. I would love to watch that. But yeah, things don't typically work out quite that much with the karma in this house, so we'll see how that actually ends up playing out. But I just don't think David is concerned about Janelle and KAYSAR right now. I think he has other bigger fish to fry, and he's not really part of anybody's alliance right now, which is, you know, it's just interesting. I still think that he can be kind of up for grabs.
Yeah. I think David actually has a good chance of making it fairly far if he stays this time around, because I just think there's always going to be a bigger target than him, and I think he is capable of winning competitions. But we talked about bad reads for a minute. I do not think we've spent enough time this week talking still about how terribly off Kevin is with all facets of this game, and I wish I could say I regret picking him to win, but the problem is I can't take it back. I have to own it. He's just been so bad, including even today, Dave on in a conversation with Kevin. I don't really think Memphis is working that much with Janelle and KAYSAR. Kevin, no, they're really, really working together.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not working together, but Memphis isn't worried about Janelle and KAYSAR because they're not coming after him. So it's not that they're working together. Kevin, isn't reading that right, but Kevin is just like, he's so mad at Janelle and KAYSAR for pushing to keep Keisha. And he's got to let that go, man, because once Nicole Anthony is gone, Kevin is alone. He is not with the popular kids. I know he thinks that he's done them this he owes them this solid and that it's all going to work out and he's going to be part of this group, but he is not part of any group. And once Nicole Anthony's gone, if he doesn't want to be with Janelle and KAYSAR, I don't know where he lands. Like, I think that unless somebody gets into power that, like, really has a bone to pick, I mean, Kevin, I don't know, man. I think he's going to be early collateral damage.
I'm about to say something. Please do not chase me off of YouTube for saying this. This is only my worst. This is my worst nightmare. I am very concerned that Kevin is going to win the next head of household. Mm-hmm. Kevin is going to get rid of either Janelle or KAYSAR.
Yep.
He's going to think that it's this really fantastic move and it's going to buy him all this loyalty. Mm-hmm. And then all of BB Twitter is going to hate him, and then he's going to go out like a week and a half later. And then this is the most 2020 Big Brother thing that could possibly happen.
Well, that's a little bit of sort of what we discussed this morning too, about sort of the nerdy kids like us that are trying to help out the cool kids, and we think that we're in with them because we're, we got out Janelle kind of thing, and then the next week we're stuffed in a locker.
Let's talk about nerdy things that are cooler than being with the popular kids. Mass Effect, Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, cosplay, Dungeons and Dragons, exploding kittens.
I also just learned today that there's a dino convention.
What?
Yes!
How did I not know about this?
I didn't know about it either.
I used to have this.
One of you guys told me about it, so I'm really excited about that because I actually looked it up. Obviously, it's not happening this year with everything that's happening, but it's not that far.
Well, okay, at some point down the road, maybe we will do a Big Brother update from a dino convention and we'll come on dressed in those like big dino outfits that people always fall in those internet videos. Okay, well, we will wrap up this video before we continue to go down a dinosaur rabbit hole, but what's your favorite dinosaur? And why is, I don't know what mine is. Maybe it's Triceratops. I gotta think about this.
That's a pretty good one.
They're pretty awesome. Like, come on. Okay, well, let us know. Actually, no, it's a Patasaurus. All right, let me know your favorites in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further. Check the links in the description to the store, to our Patreon. Go Patasaurus, and we'll see you here next time.